I can't hear you out there. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Overpeck, or Peck as I like to be called. I'm the Dean of the University of Michigan School for Environment and Sustainability, and I'm really excited about being here with you today.
Hi, my name is Michaela Zent. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs here at SEAS. I also have appointments in our School of Education and in our Liberal Arts program here at the University of Michigan, and I'm super excited to be here with you as well.
Great. Well, I hope you're all safe and healthy wherever you are in this time of coronavirus. It's a pretty difficult time, I know, but I think if you look at the glass half full point of view, it's a big challenge, and we're learning how to deal with challenges, and that's something we all have to do in our careers, is be able to confront big challenges and solve them. Here at SEAS, we've already taken all our classes offline. Well, they're online now, out at the classroom, and we've done a lot of other things that are necessary to essentially depopulate our building, get everyone working from home as much as possible. A lot of students have gone home, but everyone's still taking classes, still working on their program, and we're trying to keep everything going more or less as we hoped it would go even before the coronavirus. And in a sense, this is all because we have amazing faculty, tremendous students, and very capable staff who've created a very resilient school. And I guess for me as the dean, it's great to see a school for sustainability being so resilient. We have a vision here at SEAS, one that I saw emerging even before I came here. That really attracted me. So like many of you, I came here thinking, what could I do more effectively for society? What could I do for my career, of course, but what could I do that would really change the way the world works and that would be better for environment and sustainability? And that's what attracted me to the University of Michigan. I thought University of Michigan would be a unique place to do this because it's the world's top research university. It's huge. And so we have expertise in just about everything you can imagine, but we also have more research going on here. We have a bigger alumni base. We have all the pieces that are necessary to maybe take education, higher education, in the 21st century to a whole nother place where we can be fundamentally more useful to society. So what does that mean? At the University of Michigan, and at SEAS in particular, we have a vision that includes top-ranked research, academic research, like so many of our peers. Our goal is to be the best, to have the largest impact in the scholarly world. At the same time, however, what we're thinking about is a whole new enterprise focused on understanding the knowledge that's created in practice, that is on the job, in society. And it's our belief that if you want to solve real world problems, not just academic problems, you need to combine those two things, academic knowledge with knowledge that comes from practice. And so that's our vision at SEAS, is to create that kind of environment where students can learn to work with academic knowledge, work with knowledge from practice, and make fundamentally bigger contributions in their career to whether it's academic or it's in society. So in a sense, what could that be used for? At SEAS, what we're really after is creating a 21st century world that is environmentally sound, economically robust, that is sustainable, and that is just. And it's critical, if we're going to do that, that we have to think across many disciplines. And we have to integrate the knowledge from these. It's not good enough to just be focused on sustainability. Without justice, there is no sustainability. So at SEAS, we've been working tirelessly, we're not done either, figuring out how to do it best, to integrate environmental justice with the other disciplines that you'll hear about that we are very proud of here at SEAS. Just like we're very happy to have a world-renowned ecological design-oriented landscape architecture program. So not only are we thinking about creating a more sustainable and just world, we're thinking how people fit into that world. We're trying to design a new world that will be exactly what we want, this more economically robust, environmentally sound, sustainable, and just world. On the research front, I can say that SEAS is just a wonderfully productive place. At the University of Michigan, which is the United States' top research institution, public university, there are only two other universities that are sort of more highly ranked in terms of research, and they're both privates. And we're the top public. And that means across campus, we have all these top-ranked graduate programs, but it also means that SEAS is in an environment where to stand out, we have to be exceptional. And I'm happy to report that SEAS is the third most productive research school out of 19 at the University of Michigan. So that means we have a lot of just highly credible top research going on in this school, academic research. But the thing that really makes it all different from most of our peers, both on and off campus, is that this research is mostly use-inspired. So everything that's going on here, we're thinking about what do people in society need to know in order to create a better world. So that knowledge is rock hard. It's the traditional academic enterprise that you'll see at many other universities. What we've been striving to do here at the University of Michigan is go well beyond that and create a complementary enterprise, one that's focused, as I've mentioned before, on real world knowledge, the knowledge that's created through practice. And whether you're familiar with farming, or you're familiar with business, or you're familiar with community governance, you know that there's so much in the heads of the people that are practicing in those environments that without that knowledge, we just won't make progress. And academics are often, they can study it, they can try and figure it out, but why not go to the source of that information and work with the actual practitioners themselves? So what SEAS has done to complement our world-class academic or traditional research enterprise is to create an enterprise focused on engagement and working with people in society to understand the knowledge that they have accumulated over years and years and decades of practice, and then to integrate these two sources of knowledge to create what I think, and my colleagues here at SEAS think, will allow us to make much more progress off campus. And we immerse our students in all of this. You know, some of you will be coming to SEAS thinking, I want to be an academic. I want to do a master's thesis. And I want to really propel my career forward in academic knowledge creation. I think many more of you are thinking of careers as game changers out in society. Your goal, like mine to some extent, has evolved over the years, is to really make a difference in solving climate change, in stopping pollution of our air and waters, managing ecosystems in more effective ways, conserving biodiversity, changing agriculture in a way to be more sustainable and healthy for people, and maybe at the same time solve some of our problems with biodiversity or climate change. These problems are all interrelated. Some of us will be trying to figure out, well, how do we make businesses more sustainable? We have top-ranked programs, both with the Urban Institute and our Sustainable Systems programs, that are really focused on working with business to make the whole business enterprise, not just in this nation, but internationally, more sustainable and more just. So it's working from within. At the same time, some of our scholars and students are working from without, activists, pushing the system. But it's only by doing both of these things that we can move society in a fundamentally faster way through this transition to a more sustainable and just world. One that is still economically robust, one that pays attention to environment and not just use our environment as a dumping ground. We have to figure all this out, and we have to make sure everyone benefits. That's critical. That's justice. That's the Green New Deal, and that's SEAS. So I'm a climate scientist, and I'd say I'm not just a climate scientist. Over the years, I also have become a climate activist. I've become someone who's fundamentally convinced, as all my colleagues are in the climate science community, that if we don't solve climate change, we got a big problem. I'm therefore here at SEAS to focus on all the ways that we can solve the climate crisis. But of course, as you know, the climate crisis doesn't sit there all by itself. It's linked to the coronavirus. You know, with pollution that we're creating, burning fossil fuels that's causing climate change, that same pollution is making people more susceptible to the virus. Climate change is moving animals and plants in ways they haven't moved in human history. And that's causing mixtures of plants and animals that are bringing more viruses, perhaps, into human contact. That's just one example. What we're trying to do at SEAS is to pay attention to the ecosystems, to the built environment, to how we communicate, how we understand human behavior, the economics of the whole problem. And I'm just focusing on climate change. Think of all the other environmental problems that you want to solve, and that if you look on our webpage and talk to our faculty and students here, we are trying to solve at SEAS. But we're trying to look at it in a holistic way. Because ultimately, if we don't do that, we'll solve one problem and we'll cause other problems as a byproduct. So that's the vision we have for SEAS. That's the vision I brought here. What I'm really hoping is that you'll get today and beyond a really good understanding of how you can be involved in this enterprise. We have an amazing array of courses. You'll be hearing from Michaela, our Associate Dean for Academic Programs, how we've crafted really a next generation curriculum focused on providing the skills you need, not just the knowledge from academia, not just the knowledge from practice, but also the skill sets you need to have a successful career, whether it's academic or it's in the real world. We have a Capstone master's project that is the first of its kind. It was designed back in the 80s, and everyone else has adapted it and is using it now. But it first happened here. Some of you will come to SEAS and want to do a master's thesis, like I've said before, but a lot of you want to do this master's project, many more of you. And this is a way, just one way, to get your hands wet working in society with this experiential learning. We have other things going on here as well, as we'll talk about maybe in the question and answer program. But the key here is for you to all realize that when you come to SEAS, you're joining the largest group of faculty, students, current students, and alumni that exists for any other school. And our alumni network is very active, very successful, and very engaged in making sure that the next generations of SEAS students, SEAS game changers, are able to be most effective. So you'll be joining that network. And I think you'll be really happy with what you get in the end and how that propels your career forward. And I hope I get to see you all here in the fall. We'll be here. I hope we'll get to see you all here in the fall to be game changers with us and to really make a difference in this world. Thanks very much. Michaela.
Hi, it's wonderful to meet you all. I wish it was in person, but I'm excited to meet you through this medium and to also talk with you later throughout today. So our program, I wish I could have come here when I was a student. It's such an exciting program. We have, I think, several aspects that are really unique when comparing us to other programs in the field. For one, you really can make your own program here. It's not a one-size-fits-all program. We have an extremely flexible program that is designed to meet your interests and your needs. We have advisors. Our faculty will work with you directly to come up with a course of study that allows you to achieve your goals, regardless of what environmental goals or sustainability goals those might be. The way we make sure that you are prepared to succeed in this field is a number of ways. So for one, all of you can choose one, or in some cases will choose multiple specializations. Those specializations are designed to prepare all of you to both understand and address sustainability challenges in a holistic way. So for example, we have conservation ecology, which focuses on ecological and environmental systems. We have sustainable systems, which focuses on technological or engineered systems. We have a number of concentrations that focus on social systems. So both the policy and planning aspect, that's EPP, environmental policy and planning, the voluntary behavior and social interventions that foster those behaviors, that's behavior education and communication. We have environmental justice, which really underlies or has relationships to each one of the specializations, because justice is a core issue in all of these sustainability challenges that are facing us. We have landscape architecture, which is about spatial and ecological design. And design is playing an increasing role in both understanding and addressing sustainability challenges. And we have environmental informatics. Increasingly, we have these huge data sets available to us, or big data, whether it's through GIS or remote sensing. And here at SEAS, we will show you how you can use these big data sets to both understand and address environmental and sustainability challenges in more novel ways. So the reason we have these specializations is because, again, together, they really help us understand and address sustainability challenges. And I should say, because we have such a flexible program, many of you might not just be able to do one specialization, but also combine it with another specialization. My own students, for example, often combine behavior education and communication with environmental policy or with conservation ecology, depending on what their career goals are. So the specializations are all about skill building in particular areas. But then you can also develop both more depth in particular themes. We call these themes. So for example, you might be really interested in addressing food-related challenges, climate-related challenges, water-related challenges, energy-related challenges, the built environment. And so even like adaptation, we're building a lot of, right now, climate change is really beginning to show its face. And we are all starting to have to adapt to the changes that are occurring. We actually offer a lot of depth in that area as well. And so you can, through learning about particular skills and specializations, and then focusing on a particular theme, you can really build core strength in an area that prepares you to really, like Peck said, have an impact in those particular sustainability challenges. As I said earlier, our program is quite flexible. We only have 2 core requirements. One is in ecological systems. You will take a class that teaches you about that because we believe that's very foundational. In addition, you will have a core requirement in social systems because we know fundamentally you have to have both ecological and social systems understandings and bring those together if we are to address the challenges that are facing us today. Peck mentioned capstone experience. So each one of you will be completing a capstone experience. As Peck mentioned, the primary experience is these master's projects that we've done since the 80s, but they have really evolved since then. At this point, they're definitely very interdisciplinary, they're transdisciplinary, and what we mean by that is you will be working with colleagues from these different specializations to focus in on a particular real-world challenge. So for example, this year some students just started working with Ocean Spray, which is a farmer cooperative, and they will be looking at Ocean Spray's greenhouse gas emissions and ways to reduce those. Another project is students are working in Kenya and are trying to figure out how to minimize human and leopard wildlife conflicts. So those are the kinds of projects, and Ashley will tell you more about different kinds of projects that our students are starting just even this year. So these projects, you engage with a client, so you also learn how to engage with a client, and you work in teams to get team skills, which are critical because in today's world and with the challenges that we're facing, we all have to work together and know how to work together to really bring about change. The other thing that is really unique at the University of Michigan, and Peck alluded to this, is that we have a number of outstanding other schools across this campus. We have an amazing business school, we have an amazing engineering school, we have an amazing law school, social work, et cetera, and we have a huge number of both formal dual degree programs, and often you can create your own dual degree programs too. So about 1/3 of our students enroll in these kinds of programs, and the University of Michigan really makes it easy for you to get not just a degree from SEAS, but also a degree from another school that allows you to specialize even further, should that be something you're interested in. I think in summary, I'd like to say in environmental education, which is my field, we think about learning in terms of the head, the heart, and the hands. And I think that's what we do at SEAS. So when I think of the head, it's about the academic courses and the academic programs we offer. When we think about the hands, we're very much about engaged, hands-on learning here. You've already heard about master's projects, but also in our courses, we no longer do traditional lectures. For the most part, you will be engaging in some kind of a hands-on activity, whether it's learning about grant writing or it's learning about modeling. You're going to learn about these skills through your classes in very active ways. We have many lab courses, we have field courses, so there's a lot of that hands-on engagement. And then we're really starting to use very innovative techniques, such as co-design. For example, we currently have a seminar on communications where students are working with faculty to put together environmental communication messages to disseminate with a range of audiences, whether it's about their thesis work or their master's project or any other activities that they're engaged in. Students and I have also, for example, co-designed a MOOC, a massive open online course called Act on Climate, that I encourage you to check out, not just because I suspect you're really interested in knowing what you can do about climate change, but also to see the kind of innovative learning tools that we use here to promote the kind of skills that you will all need to succeed. Lastly comes the heart. And as Peck has indicated, we all have a lot of heart, whether it's the faculty or the students and our staff. We're deeply committed to sustainability, and so if you are, this is the right place for you.
That was great, Michaela. Thank you. And I hope you got a good understanding, a little more in depth. Michaela's been at the school longer than I have, and no one really knows it better than she does. We have a bunch of questions that you've given us to answer. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to go back and forth with some of these questions. The first question, which is on everyone's mind, including mine, is will we be here in the fall enrolling students and starting with the class of 22-23? Depends on whether you're going for a 2-year master's or a 3-year dual degree, or maybe with Masters of Landscape Architecture. So you could either be class of 2022 or 23. The answer is yes. All the signs are we'll be here. I think the University of Michigan really prides itself in being able to work under any circumstances, and I think we've shown really well in the last month or so how well we could adapt to the coronavirus and keep the educational process going. I think it'll work even better by the time the fall comes around. We'll have a lot of experience by then. We'll have the whole summer to work on enhancements to how we do it, assuming we have to do it. What's nice about the fall is it's a good time to really get to know your classmates. That could be a little tough if we're trying to keep everyone a little separated, but we'll get to know each other via remote technology, which is something we're doing pretty well now already. And the hope is that this coronavirus won't go that far, much further, if it even goes that far. And so we'll be right back into the thick of things, doing it the way we normally do. So by all means, this fall you can plan on starting your SEAS experience and getting a really good jump on your career.
So one of the questions that certainly would be on my mind if I was a student looking for programs is, what kind of advising and mentoring will I receive? And I'm really proud to say that this is something we value deeply at SEAS because we recognize how critical mentoring is to your career. So we actually, when you join us, if you don't already have an advisor assigned to you, we have differences based on the specializations. Some of you have very specific faculty you're already engaging with this afternoon. Others will be assigned to specific advisors latest before you come here. And these advisors will meet with you throughout your career, whether it's in groups or through individual conversations, to ensure that you design a program that's effective for you and to link you to appropriate career opportunities. So rest assured that mentoring and advising is a priority in the school and that you will have a lot of access to faculty when you come here. Both your immediate advisors, but also all other faculty in the school will be ready and willing to talk with you about whatever topic you want to learn more about.
There's a related question we got, and I think it's a really good question. Someone came up with wondering whether professors are able to dedicate most of their time to working with master's students or they'll be more busy working with undergrads. And the way this school is designed, it's a professional master's school, first and foremost. There's little doubt about that. And the question then is, how do we manage to have a top-ranked undergraduate program at the same time? And the way we've done that is through a fairly creative innovation. SEAS, in reality, is in a building, in multiple buildings now, and is its own school or college for sure. But at the same time, we have a mandate to work across campus to be more of a catalyst. This is one of the reasons we have these dual degree programs and a lot of research programs and initiatives that are really not just the SEAS faculty and students, but they're faculty and students from other schools as well. Well, our undergrad program is based around this model, the program on the environment, and it has faculty teaching in it from 6 different schools and colleges around campus. And yes, some of our faculty teach one course in the undergrad program per year, but it's not a heavy lift because of all the great coordination we get with our colleagues across campus. So our faculty are here first and foremost for their research, engagement, and working with master's students. We have a PhD program too, highly selective, but it's pretty small. So you won't get huge competition as well from the PhD students. This place is all about masters.
So another question that we got is, what are the differences between an MS at SEAS and an MEM or MESM, which stands for Masters in Environmental Management or Masters in Environmental and Sustainability Management at other schools? Really, we kept the Masters of Science because we just feel that it is so critical for our students to succeed in this field to have a very solid background in sustainability science. And we were also told that our students really value, and employers value in the marketplace, that our students have a Master's of Science. But our Master's of Science is just as management and practice, if not more so oriented, than some of the other programs that offers Masters of Environmental Management and MESM. So I actually feel that our program, even though it doesn't have management in the title, is just as strong, if not stronger, than those other programs when it comes to actually preparing you to make a difference once you go out in the working place. And I think the employers will really value that you have a Master's of Science degree because they can rest assured that you have the sustainability science background that you will need to succeed.
Yeah, I was really attracted to University of Michigan and SEAS in part because the emphasis is on science. It's not just natural science, but social science, economics, understanding justice, all sorts of things that all combine to really give you the skill set you need to have a really effective career. And that goes well with a Master's of Science. There's the most sort of robust and buff degree you can get in this field. The next question is, what does SEAS have a competitive edge in compared to similar graduate programs? And I think our Master's of Science, as we just discussed it, is one of those things, but there are many others. that I think made it very easy for me to come to University of Michigan versus going to another university. And believe me, I've been looking at other universities quite a bit through my career, and I was at a really great university before coming here. But University of Michigan really stands a good distance above the rest. And here's why. I have a list. We're the largest research public university in the country. We have 3 campuses. We have a campus in Dearborn and Flint, as well as the one here in Ann Arbor. And we're going carbon neutral. And we're working out the details of how we're going to go carbon neutral, but we are going carbon neutral. To me, that means a whole lot. One of the things I really liked about our president's vision for carbon neutrality isn't just about making our campus carbon neutral. It's about working as a whole campus, and I'd like to think with C's right in the middle of it all, to speed the transition to carbon neutrality in Michigan, in the nation, and around the world. We have all this research expertise. Can't we focus that as a whole university on solving the climate crisis? As I said, we're one of the biggest universities in the world. I think that largeness makes a huge difference to me compared to many of our peer graduate programs, because you're not going to have the impact that you need in society unless you're large in terms of academic breadth and alumni base. You need to have that economic breadth of excellent programs in order to be able to come at problems from every single angle that's necessary to solve it. You also need to have an alumni base that is big, so you can all work together to solve your problem. Because you think of our 8,000 alumni we have in C's, every one of them is plugged into a bigger network, and our network is around the world, including in particularly US and China. And these are the 2 countries, but really it's a whole global problem that needs a global solution. So it's this network of alumni that's really going to make a difference. Michelle has talked a lot about our courses, our capstones, and things like that. And she's emphasized, as have I, our focus on justice. And one of our professors, Dorceta Taylor, just put together a whole book. Look at that thing. It's a ½ an inch thick, detailing what we do in environmental justice. Most other programs might have a mention of it. A faculty member works on it. We have over a dozen faculty members who are involved in our environmental justice program. Some of the questions you've given us focus also on diversity, equity, and inclusion. When I came to the University of Michigan 2.5 years ago, I was blown away by the emphasis on DEI, as we call it, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I realized that this university takes this much more seriously than any place I've been or heard about. But that's not necessarily enough. You know, one of the things I find really great about our students here is they're always pushing for a better program. They're always pushing for better perspectives. And this year, just like every year, they push really hard on some things. One of them is DEI, because they're finding that we're not spending enough time in our classrooms acknowledging the history of racial oppression, identity oppression, in the way this field has come to be what it is today. We haven't really emphasized enough how DEI is sort of inexorably linked with everything we do. And so the students are pushing us to do this better. And so we're going to have training programs coming up for our faculty. It's a never-ending process, I think, to ensure that we're not just sort of meeting the necessary criteria on DEI, but that we're going way beyond it. Why? Because the world you're going to work in, the rest of your career, is diverse. And you have to understand not just that diversity, you know, identity diversity, but diversity of ideas, diversity of politics, diversity of everything. And you need to be able to work in that milieu to find solutions that work for everyone. And that is not an easy thing to do, as you can see what's going on in this country right now. The country's being ripped apart. Our goal at SEAS is to find ways to bring the country back together, to give our students the skill sets necessary, bring people together, solve common problems, and hopefully in doing that, improve society in more fundamental ways. Cross-campus excellence, we've talked all about it, but believe it or not, Michigan has over 100 top 10 ranked graduate programs. And when you're here, you won't take just classes here in C's. Of course, they're the best, right? But you'll be taking classes all over campus. And if you need a class in some particular niche, you're likely to be able to find that niche somewhere else on campus. And not only find that course in that program, but know that that program is top 10 ranked in the nation. So that's really cool. And go on the website and you can see the statistics for what this university is really good at. Lastly, I'd like to just say Ann Arbor is consistently ranked as a top 10 college town. And some of you will roll your eyes when you hear that. It's not like it's all fraternities and partying, right? It's a very mature community. It is going carbon neutral. Our county is going carbon neutral. We're working closely between the university and the community to do this. We're working closely with the community to solve other environmental problems. It's a very progressive environment. But we're also in Michigan, which is an amazing place. And Michigan has a whole diversity of perspectives. And you see this in the elections, right? But you know, Michiganders tend to be good people when you meet them in person. And whether they're one political side or the other, people have a way of getting along here. And there are amazing recreation activities here. Just a simple, half-hour drive from here. You have lakes and moraines and mountain biking and you name it. You go to any of the Great Lakes, and well, that's why they call them great. They're phenomenal. And we get a winter here. Some of you might not like winter. The winters are getting warmer, but nonetheless, we get a winter here, and there's a lot of activities to do here. Maybe you can just go hang out in one of the, seems like zillion brew pubs that are in town. But the point is, it's a very fun, culturally diverse, and interesting community with all sorts of cool things going on. So I think those are all the things that really give us an edge over other choices you might have. And I really hope you come see for yourself. You'll really be happy, I think.
I think Peck has given you a fantastic list of resources and ideas that you can take advantage of that when you come here. One of the questions that relates to the one that Peck just addressed about how we're different is also a question here about how has the SEAS program changed over the past decade. And I think that where I'd like to expand upon there is, and it relates to the question Peck had, is that we've gotten a tremendous new number of faculty thanks to Peck's effort coming in. And so previously we already covered areas in, for example, the social sciences. We have a social scientist in almost every discipline, which means in order to change human behavior or understand how to change human behavior, which is going to have to happen if we're going to address these challenges, you have to attack it from every single discipline's perspective, because each discipline, whether psychology, sociology, economics, anthropology, geography, et cetera, they all give us a particular insight into why people do what they do, and therefore also the changes that could happen and how they could happen. And unlike any other program I know across this country and indeed the world, and I have traveled also in Asia and Europe and seen many other programs, is that you have the opportunity to hear about each of those unique perspectives in one location, in one environmental school right here on campus in SEAS. And so I think that's a particular unique angle. It's also unique that a single school, and I just want to reiterate that, Peck's already said it, but I think it's worth to repeat, is that you can learn about natural sciences, you can learn about every single social science perspective, you can learn about engineering perspectives, you can learn about design, and all of those aspects, in addition, of course, to justice, are critical to understanding the problems we have and to addressing them. And I encourage you to look at other schools and see if they have a similar breadth, but also depth in terms of the faculty that are available in each of those areas. And I think we're unparalleled in that. In terms of other ways we've changed, I would say historically academia has been very faculty focused. It's been about what is it that faculty think students should know and be able to do. But the change that we're seeing here in SEAS over the last 10 years and also at the University of Michigan, we're becoming increasingly student focused. What does that mean? We're thinking about what are the careers that are out there that we actually want you in order to help bring about that change. And so based on those careers, what is it that you need to know? What are the skills you need to have, and what are the mindsets you need to have in order to succeed? And through our courses, we're preparing you for those particular competencies. And that's a fundamental shift that's been happening, and we have been on the forefront. And over the next year or two, we will actually specifically articulate what we are very confident are the skills that you will need to be sustainability leaders. And you will have insights into how our classes are specifically focusing on those particular skills. We actually hope to have a database available within the next year or two that will allow you to search classes based on skills. And I'm not aware, and I think that's a particular competitive advantage that we will also have compared to a lot of other programs. And that's a significant change. The other thing I mentioned earlier is pedagogy, meaning how we teach has really changed. Like I said, the idea of lectures is really, we're moving away from that, and we're moving towards engaged learning. One particular effort that I'd like to highlight that we've adopted here is something called Michigan Sustainability Cases. And if you go online and you go to learngala.com, you can see the kinds of cases we are using here in the school to teach. So almost all of our faculty now use cases to some extent to teach about sustainability. Business schools learned about this, 30, 40 years ago, that cases are effective ways to prepare professionals to succeed in their careers. And I'm proud to say that our school has made that transition to case-based teaching as well. So those are just some examples of the changes that have taken place. Many, many more on the teaching front, both in terms of what we teach and how we teach.
That was great. I thought it was neat you brought up the case-based teaching in GALA, that's G-A-L-A, the platform we use for distributing our cases. We're creating a lot of those cases here, but we're also becoming sort of the central clearinghouse for cases that have been created at other universities, and really making it part of our service that we provide our peers. So we'll make everyone better, hopefully, through that approach. Another question that came up was, what are your visions and plans for C's development over coming years? Now, I guess I'd like to meet the student who asked this question, because most students don't think about this, but this is really important. This university has the largest endowment of any public university in the country, probably the world. And this is what allows us to have a lot of programs and opportunities for students, including student financial aid, that most universities can't bring to the table. And certainly there's some smaller private universities that have big endowments too. But one of the things that's cool about Michigan is we have this huge university with all these alumni and students and all these top 10 programs, and yet we also have a very strong endowment. And it's not surprising, therefore, that C's also has a fairly substantial endowment, which grows at a pretty steady clip. It's my job, in a sense, to be in charge of that, but I have a fabulous development staff and development director who works with me on this. We haven't yet named the school. We haven't yet named a lot of things in the program, because we're gearing up to do that in the next campaign. But we're, of course, asking for a pretty hefty price tag in order to do that. And the reason for that is that we really need our endowment and our focus on fundraising to increase the amount of money that's available for student aid. That is my number one priority. That has been my number one priority since I came here. And so far, we've been pretty successful. We will have another campaign in a couple of years. Don't know exactly when it'll start. And of course, this coronavirus might influence that. But we just came off a $5 billion campaign, and the next campaign will be bigger. And what's very exciting about this next campaign is that it will have sustainability, quote unquote, saving the planet, in the middle of it. And I'm not saying the campaign will call it that, but I'm just saying for all of those of you who are probably interested in coming to this school, you want to save the planet, just like I do. And that is going to be a central focus. And what is most cool about that is it's supported by the deans around this entire campus. We've all been working on Where are the areas that if we combine our resources, we combine our efforts, this university can do what no other university is able to do. And of course, that's really important for development. And this is one of those cases, one of those foci. Another foci will be on the built environment, I hope. And how can we make a 21st century built environment that is fundamentally more sustainable and just than the one we have and live in now? And this is particularly important because everyone around the world is moving into cities. And these cities have to be resilient in the face of climate change. These cities have to tackle pollution problems that have never been solved. These cities have to deal with how you're going to get the food, all these other aspects of energy and such. We do have a couple endowed programs in the school that we're very proud of that are flagship programs. Our Herb Institute is endowed to work at the intersection between environment, sustainability, and business. And it is a dual degree program is linked to that between the Ross School of Business, I think it's 7th ranked business school in the nation, and C's. And our Herb students we're very proud of, but they have a lot of extra resources because of a very generous donation from the Herb family and some other families and foundations. And we also have a Center for Sustainable Systems. And we haven't talked much about that, but it is our most rapidly growing program in terms of student interest. And it's not surprising. It's engineering based, it's business based, it has geography, it has justice, it has a number of things, not enough justice, but it's going to have more, I can promise you that. The focus is on industrial ecology. It's on looking at the whole system. You could think of it part as life cycle analysis, circular economy. How do we make businesses more sustainable? All this is right at the heart of Center for Sustainable Systems. And fortunately, that program is also endowed. So it's my goal to see more of these programs, such as the Sustainable Food Systems Initiative, which is really off and running right now, to become an endowed program, such as our Environmental Justice Program. There'll be a lot of opportunities for more funding of our programs, but student financial aid will be at the center. I think we're getting close to having to wrap up. Do we have time for any more questions? No, I've been told. Well, I hope this is a good start. You'll be meeting with our faculty, you'll be meeting with staff, you'll be meeting with some of our students, and of course, you can ask these questions and other questions to them too, and you'll find out a lot more about C's and how well you can fit in here. And I just hope to see you all here this fall. And normally I can do that with you in the room, and it's really strange talking to a camera. But the thing that gives me the most joy in life is seeing what the students do when they come here and what the students do when they get out of here. It is just unbelievable the impact that C's and the University of Michigan is having in the area of sustainability and the environment. So thank you very much for your interest in our school.